There's a phrase that says, you'll always get more flies with honey than you will with vinegar. That statement is not untrue. I'll tell you what is also true, though. That is that you'll get more flies with a load of crap than you will even with honey. That's a true story. I think Winston Churchill said it best, though, when he said, "Don't mistake my kindness for weakness." To be an effective leader doesn't always mean you're going to be a likable leader. And that's why leadership is so hard. That's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and it seems today like a lot of things don't work in the favor of the leader. There are a lot of leaders out there who they have this grand vision of what leadership is going to be like. They see the harem, if you will, of sitting in the throne, and the grapes are being fed to you, and the flowers or the big fans of feathers are being waved about you, and everyone is celebrating your presence and your existence. And that would be awesome if all leadership was like that. If every moment of leadership was jetting around the country in your own private jet, if it was living that jet set life, it was, always on the go and always traveling and always seeing and experiencing new things. I mean, a lot of people look at Andrew Tate and say, leader, and they think only about the glamour side of leadership. I'm the boss. I'm in charge. I can tell people what to do. Everybody has to listen to me. There's some truth to that. I've heard people say, if it's lonely at the top, then you didn't do it right. There's a little bit of truth to that. You should have surrounded yourself with good people all the way up. And if you get to the top and you realize that nobody's following you, then you're really not a leader. You're just taking a walk. All of these things can be true at the same time. But I can also tell you that, just as we've discussed before right here on this program, when you are being successful, when you're accomplishing what you're on this earth to do, when you are effectively leading, you will have a target on your back. There will be people who want to stop you from effectively leading because your effectiveness brings them to a close, to an abrupt halt. It stops the progress of what they're doing because perhaps what they're doing is malicious. If you were to think back to all the great battles of time, and I'm not just talking about major wars, I'm talking about small skirmishes, battles of wits, patent battles. There have been many, many times that the kindest, the most gentle, the most likable person in the battle didn't come out on top. And there have been many times that those battles of all types, for societies, for cultural ways, for ideologies, for beliefs, changed the balance of cultures for decades, generations, some for hundreds of years, because the battle was fought by an ineffective leader. There's stories throughout history where people have said, if you'll follow this advice, you will win this battle. And the leader said, I don't want to follow that advice. That's not likable. That's not kind. We see it over and over again in politics. Over and over again in politics. One person whispers in the ear of the political leader, hey, if you'll do it like this, you'll gain a lot of favor. And the other says, if you do it like this, you're not going to gain a lot of favor, but you will win the war. You will accomplish what you need to. Well, if you do it this way, you may or may not win the election. Well, if you do it this way, you're guaranteed not to win the election, but you will effectively bring the change that you want to bring. Well, now you've got to ask which one is the most important. And I can tell you over and over again, being liked, being accepted, being treasured by the masses is often the first sign of failed leadership. I know that sounds contrary. It sounds like it doesn't make any sense at all. And it really doesn't. It makes no sense when you stop and think about the idea that why would I do it if I'm not going to be effective? Why would I want to gain the popularity of the masses? In fact, if I gain the popularity of the masses, how could they stop me from being effective? Well, that by itself is a whole nother puzzle, but there are many, many people who find themselves in the position of gaining popularity and losing effectiveness. We can think of all of the people who've become celebrities, and then along the way they realize, I've completely given up the things that I care about most. There's a whole lot of people in politics today, a whole lot of people in celebrity, a whole lot of people in Hollywood who've gained a lot of ground when it comes to the popularity. They have a whole lot of people who believe in them, a whole lot of people who support their notoriety. They want to ride in the coat sleeves. I mean, listen to the number of rappers who've said out loud, if I counted the number of friends that I had by the ones who show up for bottle service versus the ones who show up when I'm in trouble, there'd be a grave distance between them. Well, there's a drastic difference between the number of people who want to show up when you're popping bottles and everybody around the table is getting their high on and they're enjoying it on your dime, on your effort, on your success. That's a way to favor with the masses. You can gain a lot of favor with the masses as long as they're partying with you, but put them at a tough spot. Put them in the dark. When the albums aren't flowing, when the cash isn't flowing, when you're not paying for all the bottles, when they've got to come out of their own pocket for that next bottle of champagne. And suddenly, the masses don't care about you. They were riding the wave of your popularity because, well, it made them popular. They were in the in crowd. They could post that video and say, I was hanging with so-and-so. But let your name be smirched by someone else who says, yeah, that he's got some weak spots. That fool's made some mistakes. And all of a sudden the masses abandon you. See, the drastic difference between being likable and being effective is core values. It's a matter of saying, I want to lead according to what's most important to me. I'm going to hold on to these things that I know will change and shift the world. They are the dynamics that make the most difference, short run and long run. And some of them will effectively change the world, but they do not make people happy. And I'm okay with that. See, the hardest challenge for many leaders is they're unwilling to do the thing that makes people unhappy in order to be an effective leader. They want to go with the which way is the wind blowing kind of reaction to challenges in life. The effective leader says, I know what's right. I'm going to hold on to what's right. I don't care if it's popular. I don't care if everybody likes it or not. I'm going to do what's best for the organization, for the company, for the culture, for society, for my nation, for the world. And when you have an effective leader who also has the foresight to say, I see things coming down the pike that nobody else is aware of. Other people are completely ignoring these challenges, these issues, these problems. They don't want to acknowledge that they're real or that they're true. And because they're ignoring them, or they've been hidden well by propaganda, or they've been lied about straight up, the effective leader has to challenge those problems anyway. Dive into them anyway. If you recognize them as problems in society and culture, you got to go after them. That's not going to make you likable, but if you succeed, it will make you very effective. If you as a leader find yourself in that place where your insecurities make you a people pleaser to the degree that you're more concerned about how many people like you than you are about how effective you are at the core values and the agenda that you've already stated, if you look at your vision statement and you realize that it's not real popular, do you abandon your vision statement in pursuit of popularity? Or do you effectively charge after that vision statement? That's a tough call for leaders. And I don't care what level you're leading at. Think about your high school coaches. They have an agenda. That is to get a team ready for a battle. Whatever that battle is, football game, soccer game, softball game, volleyball game, track meet, The coach's job is to get the warriors in that battle ready for battle. Now that might mean they need more stretching. That might mean they need better conditioning. That might mean they need drills on the skill sets necessary to execute their function in the game. When the battle comes, you're not battle ready if you're not battle tested. And when the battle comes, if your coach has let you slack, you're going to be found wanting. You're going to find yourself getting beat by a team with less superiority, less talent, less ability, because they had the discipline to practice. Well, where does that start? It starts with a leader who may not be likable, but they're effective. Eventually, you look at the tough coaches like a John Wooden, who's probably got more championships in basketball than anybody else. You look at somebody like that and you realize there was a season of his life where he had to be hard-nosed and had to just come with grit to every practice. He was still compassionate. He still cared about his teams. He still poured into them everything that he could on and off the court. But on the court, expectations were high. I'd be willing to bet there was more than one occasion that somebody mumbled under their breath, God, I hate him. But he was effective. I'm sure the same could be said of Norman Schwarzkopf or General MacArthur. When you think about the expectations they put on others, you don't get likes that way. You don't get popularity that way. You don't get fame that way. But if you're an effective leader, you're not measuring your success on the likes and the fame and the popularity. You're measuring your success against the core values and the vision statement you established before you started the process. I don't care where you are in your leadership, if you're early on or if you're long in the tooth. You know this is true, and it's a hard thing to hear. But being a likable leader does not equate to being an effective leader. And being an effective leader will almost always guarantee that at some point you will not be a likable leader. Eventually, the two will come together. There are people today who were coached by John Wooden decades ago who absolutely love him. They absolutely adore what he did to them as an effective leader when they were young in life. Their successes today are directly attributed to what he put them through early on. Now, as an effective leader, you're going to have to make that choice. Will they like me now, or will they like me later, or will they never like me at all? If I'm going to do my job effectively, if I'm going to stand according to my core values, if I'm going to stand according to my vision, will I pull this off even with no popularity? And am I okay? Is my insecurity, is my personhood in question if nobody likes me for what I'm doing? If, on the other hand, you can look at that and say, well, I really wish that I could both be popular and be effective. Well, leadership may not be the line of work for you. And I'm going to challenge you to ask yourself, should I be going along with the flow just to get along with everybody else, or should I stand my ground in the place where I need to stand my ground? Should I resist against the current? Should I change direction because I know where we're headed is off a cliff and I need to stop as many people as I can? You're not going to be liked. You can be effective or you can be liked, and in some places you have to choose between the two. Chances are being liked is going to come long after you've been effective. Decades later, centuries later, people will look back and go, wow, look what so-and-so did. Look at the stand they took. Look at the ideas that they shared. Look at the fact that they refused to give up even when the entire world seemed to be against them. That's an effective leader. If you had to choose today to be effective or likable, which one would you choose? Send me a note in the comments. I'd really appreciate to know what is more important to you. Is it to be effective or is it to be likable? They're not always the same. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
Hi, my name is Christina Knowles, and I just got done taking Jay Loren's Story Power Masterclass. It was amazing. I took away so much information. One of the things that I really enjoyed being formally trained in media many years ago is the call to action. I will use that with every speaking engagement, and I'm so grateful that Loren just spoke truth into his teachings, and he is a true professional. And I know this might sound weird, but I've been taking certifications in different classes over the years, and Loren is not boring. I can't even believe I got here at 9, and then the class went by so fast that I was like, it's time to go already? And I was shocked that it was time to go already. So it's an awesome class. You're going to enjoy it, I promise.
Loren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my